Scary moments on Wednesday in a Florida high school. A student was shot inside the building. The suspected gunman has been taken into custody and police say there is no further danger. A spokesperson for the Sanford Police Department says the injured student was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and that this was an isolated incident.
A multi-million-dollar settlement has been reached for more than 1,000 athletes who claim they were sexually abused by a former sports doctor at the University of Michigan. The university has agreed to pay out $490 million to sex abuse survivors of former sports doctor Robert Anderson. Several former players at the university brought lawsuits alleging abuse that spanned decades. Anderson worked at the university from 1966 until his retirement in 2003. He served as director of the University of Health Service and was the physician for multiple university teams, including football. In a statement, the University of Michigan says it, quote, has accepted responsibility financially and otherwise for harm that was caused by Anderson to so many young people that could have been avoided, end quote. A report by a firm hired by the school determined that staff missed many opportunities to stop Anderson over his 37-year career.
The Supreme Court has rejected former President Donald Trump's effort to keep documents from his time in the White House secret. The decision clears the way for the National Archives to provide hundreds of pages of documents to the January 6th committee. Justice Clarence Thomas was the lone justice who said the court should have granted the former president's motion.
Today marks 1 year since President Biden took office. During a nearly 2-hour-long press conference Wednesday, the president mounted a marathon defense of his time so far. NBC's Bree Jackson is in Washington with more on the story.
President Biden painting a picture of progress. Despite soaring inflation, sinking approval ratings, and a COVID surge.
I know there's a lot of frustration and fatigue in this country.
The president's focusing on the positives, touting more than 200 million Americans fully vaccinated, the COVID relief bill passed, along with historic investments in infrastructure and record job growth.
We created 6 million new jobs, more jobs in 1 year than any time before.
Still, parts of his agenda hit roadblocks.
I did not anticipate that there'd be such a stalwart effort to make sure that the most important thing was that President Biden didn't get anything done. Think about this. What are Republicans for?
On this vote, the yeas are 52, the nays are 48.
But it was members of the president's own party who joined Republicans in rejecting a rule change that would have allowed Democrats to pass voting rights legislation.
I cannot support such a perilous course for this nation when elected leaders are sent to Washington to unite our country, not to divide our country.
Vice President Harris vowing that the fight isn't over.
The president and I are not going to give up on this issue. This is fundamental to our democracy, and it is non-negotiable.
President Biden acknowledging there's more work to be done to fulfill promises like unifying Americans.
Is the country more unified than when you first took office?
Based on some of the stuff we've got done, I'd say yes, but it's not nearly unified as it should be.
With midterm elections fast approaching, the president says he'll spend less time selling his agenda on Capitol Hill and more time on the road speaking with voters. Bree Jackson, NBC News, Washington.